Good morning, viewer, and welcome to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. Today, we will discuss a topic that is making waves in the financial world, and that's the IOSCO World Investor Week and its impact on the Nigerian capital market. Now, for those who aren't familiar, IOSCO stands for the International Organization of Securities Commissions. It's like a global watchdog for securities markets, ensuring they operate fairly, efficiently, and transparently. So every year, they host a week-long event to highlight investor protection and education. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with you, the Nigerian investor? Well, a lot, actually. Nigeria's capital market is an integral part of our economy, and IOSCO's initiatives directly impact its health and growth. In addition, Nigeria is a key player in Africa's financial landscape. Our country's participation in this initiative underscores its commitment to enhancing investor confidence. So during the World Investor Week, regulators, market participants, and investors from around the globe come together to discuss the latest trends, challenges, and best practices. This exchange of ideas can lead to significant reforms and improvements in our local finance markets. For instance, we've seen IOSCO's recommendations drive initiatives like investor education campaigns and the introduction of new regulations to protect retail investors. So these steps not only boost confidence in our markets, but also make it more accessible and attractive to both local and foreign investors. So this morning, we will be speaking with a chartered stockbroker to explore the specific impacts of IOSCO World Investor Week on the Nigerian capital market. And we will discuss how this World Investor Week enhances Nigeria's investment climate, strategies for improving financial literacy among retail investors, the role of technology in expanding access to Nigeria's capital markets, success stories from other emerging markets, and lastly, the future outlook of our markets. So join us as we gain valuable insights into the IOSCO World Investor Week, which is shaping the future of investing in Nigeria. And to discuss these issues with me, I have a chartered stockbroker in the studio here with us, and his name is Mr. Charles Fakrogha. He's an investment banker with over 20 years experience in banking and investments and a well-experienced chartered stockbroker. So thank you so much for joining us in the studios this morning, Mr. Charles Fakrogha.
Thank you, Lavina. It's nice being on the show again. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, glad to have you here, and happy World Investors Week to you.
Yes, I will wish those of you in the media, at least you, for a job well done. You've covered the event very well. So
thank you.
I wish you also good celebration.
Thank you for that. Okay, now the IOSCO, the International Organization of Securities Commission, that's what IOSCO stands for. Now, what is the significance of the IOSCO World Investor Week to Nigerian capital markets and our economy at large?
Yes, thank you very much. You will see that IOSCO is a global regulator, and whether it's in Asia, in Africa, Europe, anywhere in the world, all regulators, in order to ensure best practices, we all try to see that we follow those best practices. And if you look at the global investment climate, you see there are a lot of challenges here and there. And IOSCO now decided that, yes, it will use this period, World Investors Week, to create that awareness for investors. And you will see that basically it is just investors' education and protection, which is key for any investment. And that is what we are celebrating. And of course, it's a week-long celebration. We started on the 7th. And on that 7th, even in, let me come locally now, in Nigeria here, Dejo, that is
Dejo Street,
SOUQ Zonal Office in Lagos. Yes. If you have been there on Monday, you will see that stockbrokers were there. registrars were there, and even some fund managers. Then, of course, SEC representatives were also there to take inquiries from the average investors, and even some stockbrokers can even open account there and all that. So investors were there to ask questions so that all the inquiries, will be dealt with. Then, of course, the registrars were also there to kind of solve issues of unclaimed dividends and e-mandates and also that has been going on. Globally too, we also had a seminar, a global webinar that was also done there, I think yesterday, and they were talking about issues of cryptocurrency, digital assets, sustainable finance, and of course, preventing investment scam.
Okay, those are very key things affecting us in Nigeria. Yes, more investor education and protection, and yes, protecting investors against scamming. It's something that has been happening a lot. So yes, okay. That being said, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Now how does this IOSCO's global perspective benefit the Nigerian investor?
Yes, for the Nigerian investor, you can just see investor clinic is going on. People are there. You ask all your questions, all your inquiries. Then, most importantly, you're also educated. And when you are informed, of course, you make better decisions. At the same time, financial literacy is also key. And forget, people will tell you, oh, they read economics, they understand finance and all that. When you are talking of your own finance, you need to be educated concerning your investment, concerning your finances, your personal. You need to understand that so that you are taking decisions that will improve your circumstances. Then at the same time, you're also being that awareness is giving room for financial resilience. What happens if there is a financial shock? Because the investment climate is very dynamic. I would not say volatile, but the economy itself, things are changing. And with this financial education being organized by IOSCO, of course, our SEC is also supporting it. You will see that Nigerian investors will be taught on how to become financial resilient. There must be shock. There will be challenges here and there. Now, the company you have invested, if they are not doing so well, what happens to your overall investment? All these, you'll be educated, and you will now know that you need to diversify your portfolio. Instead of having securities for just one particular sector, you're having securities in different sectors in the economy, different asset class. So all these will enable you, when there is a financial shock, you'll be able to bounce back and continue with your investment.
Okay, well said. Yes, I think this investor, the world investor, will definitely benefit a lot of investors in how they can be well educated and enlightened as to what happens in our capital markets. Now, we know there are different practices there, and we know that this regulatory body is there to be able to protect investors keenly and also to educate them. Now, how can market practices be improved for all the actors in that sector?
Yes, that's a very good question. Market practices, first of all, must inspire confidence from the investors. There must be investors' confidence. Because if there are no investors, there is no capital market. And one of the cardinal or pillars of the regulator, let me start with the apex, is investors' protection. They are there to protect the investors. Because whether we like it or not, in the financial service industry, particularly the capital market, there is information asymmetry. Because the experts there, like ourselves, we have much information compared to the average investor. So the market is regulated by the apex, and not just only the apex, you also have the self-regulatory organization like the NGS group. You have other regulators, ASHON, CIS. They regulate their members to ensure that the investors are not taken advantage of. So market practices, looking at technology also. There's a lot of technology. For instance, today now, as we are speaking, if you buy a security for a client, the client gets that alert. If you sell for the client gets that alert. So you can see that market practices being, induced by technology. Anywhere the investors are, they know and see what is going on with their portfolio. Apart from that, technology is also, as I'm sitting down here, before I came live, I was already trading. Yes, you can see I was already trading. So wherever you are, you can be in your village, in your bedroom, anywhere in the world. As long as you have internet, you have hooked up to the VPN, that's the virtual private network, and all that, you can trade. So you can see that all these are trying to change the market practices so that there is transparency, there is efficiency, and at the end of the day, it is for the good for everybody in that ecosystem.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Yes, this is all, everything you have mentioned is very key, and especially to educate and enlighten and also to protect investors. Yes. Now, as an experienced chartered broker, how would this event improve, enhance cooperation with other securities, other capital markets all over the world, with Nigeria also?
Yes, like I said, you can even see some weeks ago or some days ago, the Nigerian SEC had collaboration with I think, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And they had this collaboration talking about good corporate governance. So you can see that IOSCO is also encouraging regional integration, where Securities Commission, maybe in West Africa sub-region, exchanges in Africa, they all come together and have this best practice. I mean, the Nigerian Exchange, that is the NGX, is a member of the World Federation of Exchanges. We are also a member of the ASIA, that is the Africa Stock Exchanges. So you can see that all this gives room for collaboration, because without collaboration, you cannot make progress. So we need to collaborate, because I mean, there are projects ongoing. You have a broker in Nigeria here, you can trade in the South African market or even in Ghana Stock Exchange because of collaboration. The broker too in Ghana can also trade in Nigerian market. So all these are projects that are already in the pipeline. And we believe that with the integration of the West African sub-region, the Africa as a continent, and of course, this is a free African Continental Free Trade Agreement. All these are also part of trading. It's easy for me to export to UK than to export to Ghana, which is just nearby. So security is also part of trading, and all this IOSCO is doing, encouraging country security exchanges to collaborate within their sub-region so that the business of securities, buying and selling, fundraising, will become seamless within the African continent and, of course, the West African sub-region.
Okay, now before I still talk about IOSCO's contributions to protecting the investors' rights, now what is the current state of investor protection in Nigeria's capital markets?
Yes, a lot has been done when it comes to protecting investors. I just mentioned the use of technology. You trade, the investor is knowing what you are doing. And at the same time, for the operators like myself, before, that's what they call a fit and proper person. Before you operate in this market, before SEC issues you a license to operate in this market, of course, you must be registered with SEC. You must be licensed by your SRO, that's your self-regulatory organization. So you can see that investors' protection currently in Nigeria is top-notch, because whatever thing any player in the market, any promoter, any operator, you are being guided by rules and regulation. And apart from rules and regulation, you are expected to also, like what we say, subscribe to your word is your bond. And before you go through all the processes and becoming a SEC-approved person, you know what you have gone through. But before that, you must have also gone through a lot of processes with your professional organization, maybe chartered CIS, Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. You must have passed through all that. Then you also have to pass through that of the NGS group. Then, of course, you are still not a fit and proper person until you pass through that of SEC. And these rules and regulation, they keep changing every day to meet the changing needs of the investment environment. So what I would say, investors, they should go to sleep. They don't have any problem when it comes to their protection in the market because everything is in place now. Yes, agreed. No system is ever 100% perfect. There's still room for improvement here and there. But I think what we have now, it's comparable, world standard, best practice according to or following IOSCO best practices.
Okay. I like all this confidence you're putting right there. Yes, we actually need to be more confident in all the protection that has been given to our Nigerian investors. And yes, that being said, Mr. Charles, we know that there have been issues here and there. Investors have complained about issues when it comes to buying shares and how they have been
Yes.
purchasing them. But I still want to know now, what specific measures have been implemented as a result of IOSCO's recommendations?
Yes. Now, let me give you a practical example. Even before now, the NGX Group, formerly Nigerian Stock Exchange, they have the Investors Protection Fund. Now, the operators contribute to that fund, and when there are issues, maybe a particular trading license holder, is no longer operating again, they've gone bankrupt now, and you have your investment in that firm. Note, your investment is not with the firm is only a custodian. If you have bought shares in Seplat, Dangote Cement, First Bank, you have those investments with First Bank. So your broker or your trading license holder having issue. Now, maybe you want to sell, you want to realize you can't. Of course, there are measures that as soon as any trading license firm goes under, you have that authority to transfer that your investment to another active trading license holder. So you don't have any issue. Now, if that particular trading license holder has issues, then you can access that investors protection fund. And of course, there are trustees who run the funds. They will determine by case basis before investors can benefit from that fund. And of course, the SEC is also giving a lot of regulatory approval on that. Now, that is that of the investors. Now, in terms of even trading, that's what we call trade guarantee fund. Now, when there is a failed trade, this is a little bit technical. Again, trade license holders have also contributed to that fund.
And sorry for interrupting you there, but what is a failed trade? What does that mean?
Well, a failed trade can happen from so many things. Maybe you bought a stock, you bought a security, and your firm cannot settle that trade. But somebody you sold. Your firm cannot settle it. You bought. That's what they call delivery versus payment. Okay. Now, if I'm selling, that means I'll be expecting cash, while the buyer will be expecting delivery of the security. So as the securities is moving away from my position, because I'm selling, I'm getting cash. The security is moving to the buyer's position. It must be simultaneous. Okay? So now let's assume now that the cash to settle me is not in the counterparty's fund. That could be a failed trade. Okay, so there are provisions put in place now, measures to kind of correct all those anomalies. But I assure you, with what we have in place right now, no right-thinking stockbroker will get involved in those kind of issues because the market is a T+3. So before a trade will settle, is a trade day plus 3 extra days. So I'm not saying there are no anomalies here and there, but in the recent times, I don't think I have heard or seen any failed trade concerning brokers now. Yes, you might have what we call error trades. Maybe somebody wants to buy you mistakenly go and sell. Again, there are rules and regulations as to how to correct those kind of error trade. Because when there are obvious error, it is obvious because the exchange, that's the NGS group now, they have a human face. And we are human beings. Somebody can make mistakes. But there are obvious, we call it obvious error trade. There are rules and regulations to take care of that. If you're able to prove, of course, it's a matter of talking to the counterparty and those trades can be cancelled. So you can see there is a lot of mechanism put in place now to ensure that investors have seamless transaction when concerning all their trades.
Okay, yes. So you were saying in the event that if, for example, there is a failed trade, now how is an investor's protection guaranteed in that kind of scenario?
Yes, there are measures put in place already, which I've said. Measures put in place already. Trade guarantee fund is there, and of course, the investor protection fund. Because for us, investors are the key. They must be protected. They must be educated so that investors' confidence will be up, and you see even attracting even foreign investors to come to the Nigerian market. Now, you see that IOSCO has a benchmark. Every securities commission in the world, everybody is collaborating to ensure that, yes, if you go to Asia, it is the same principle. You come to Nigeria, the same principle. So you can see that there's going to be the world global capital market is seamless, transparent, efficient, and investors' protection is key to all these transactions, because investors are the people why we are in this market.
Okay. That's very important, because there's something that they always say when you are buying and selling in our local markets, and they say the customer is always right. So yes, the investor is very key to this market, because it's what they invest that enables all this buying and selling of securities to take place. Now, how have the Nigerian regulators adopted to the global standards that have been set by IOSCO?
In fact, I will just tell you now that a training is currently going on for traders who wants to become dealing clerk of the NGS group, and the training is world-class standard. They have all passed through Chartered of Stockbrokers examination. They have passed, and now they are coming to become dealing clerks. The training that we give to them is world-class. It's comparable to any security exchange all over the world. So those trainees, by the time they are through, they can trade anywhere in the country. They can trade even outside the country. But of course, each local jurisdiction have their own little training there that you just go through and you are home and dry. So the kind of training we give is top notch. But what we always emphasize there, because I always believe that the trainees already have the knowledge, they already have the skill, the attitude, your ethics in terms of how you deal with your customers, how you deal with your client is very, very key. You must be a fit and proper person. That is, your word is your bond. Integrity is key. And that is what the level of training that we arrange for our newly qualified stockbrokers. Not only newly qualified, also those who are already qualified. We keep doing training and retraining, always talking about integrity, integrity, integrity.
Thank you for all that you have said so far. Yes, this would definitely boost a lot of investors out there to say, okay, yes, I'm reassured by what Mr. Charles has said, and definitely I would want to participate more in Nigerian capital markets. Let's take a break now. When we return, we're still going to talk more about investors' protection rights and also how technology has also influenced trading in Nigerian's capital markets. So join us after the break. Thank you for watching the program. Now I'm discussing the impacts of the IOSCO World Investor Week on the Nigerian capital markets. And IOSCO, as IOSCO, stands for the International Organization of Securities Commissions. And to have this discussion with us is our guest in the studio, Mr. Charles Fakrogha. He's a chartered stockbroker and investment banker with over 20 years experience. So thank you so much for joining us in the studio, Mr. Charles.
Thank you.
Okay, now all this you've said a whole lot to actually boost any investor's confidence in this to invest more in Nigeria's capital market now. So now how can, or rather, what opportunities arise from this increased investor confidence?
Yes, when you have increased investors' confidence in any country that is looking particularly the capital market, you realize that the capital market has a very pivotal role when it comes to economic development. Look at it this way. A small company that has the potential to scale up and the owner does not have funds to buy more equipment, get more inputs, the finances are not there, the banks are also not helping matters, that investor can approach the capital markets. And that investor can, or that issuer, let me use the word issuer now, can approach the capital markets, access funds. And once these funds are assessed, you can now use it to scale up, improve their capacity. At the same time, they will need more staff, more workers. So you can see they are already now reducing unemployment. So the capital market, which plays a major role in the economy, will go a long way. And that is why we are telling most company owners, the days of one-man capital is gone. Because there are certain conditions, certain requirements you need to meet before you can actually access the capital markets. And if you say you own 100% of your company and you cannot expand your operations, of what use it is. But if you can sell out maybe about 49%, you still retain 51%. That means you are still the majority shareholder, but you will have gotten funds for this 49%, and that will go a long way for you to improve your capacity. Some of the companies we see today in the market started as a one-man business, even internationally. Looking at the Liver Brothers, it used to be Liver Brothers. Now we say it is Unilever. Okay? Even look at some of the small companies we have in Nigeria that have already come to the market. You can see that they are already expanding. However, and that is why we need a lot of regulations, which the authorities are doing. Because we don't want a situation where you come to the markets, you say you want to raise funds for your operations. You raise the funds and you are doing something else. And that is why before an approval is given for your fundraising, it must be project specific. You must tell the regulators, you must tell the SROs, even your stockbroker, your financial advisor, what these funds are meant for. And of course, there will be monitoring. So you can see recently now, the federal government is saying, banks, go and recapitalize. And you can see how they all are already coming to the market. We don't want only the financial institutions, maybe the banks to come. Other real sector players, people, of course, I don't need to even mention, we saw the Bua Group that came to the market. We saw Dangote Cement that came to the market. We even saw oil and gas, Seplat that came, even telecommunication. We saw all these companies coming to the market. So we should encourage the average entrepreneur to have that at the back of their mind, that they need to scale up their operation, and they can do that by accessing the capital market. There is a lot of professionals there who will give them that advice. It's just a little bit of you trying to, like we say in the market, once you are coming to raise funds in the market, you want to be a listed company, a quoted company, you'll be ready to dance naked in the market square. Full disclosure, So if you have not been doing those full disclosure before, once you are coming to raise fund, no matter the board you want to use, whether it is on the main board or it's on the growth board, you want to come that's using the NGXM group now, you must be ready to do full disclosure.
Okay, so I believe the more transparent your financial records are, the more you would attract more investors to this.
Of course, because shareholders want to see what you are doing with their funds.
Yeah.
And again, that will create a lot of confidence, not just like I said, not just for local investors, even foreign investors. And that is why regulation must be key. And that is why the players, the regulators, and the issuers, everybody must be on one page, because transparency is key for you to begin to attract capital for your operations.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, Nigeria's capital market, we know, is one of the top capital markets in Africa. And how can Nigeria's capital market attract more foreign investments?
Yes, you can see that it's already been done. Look at Seplat. Seplat, sorry, I have to mention of these companies, an oil and gas company. They are also in the London Stock Exchange, and they are in the Nigeria and the NGX Limited. They're also listed here. So you can see that attracting foreign investors to your country depends on how viable, how transparent, how open, how ethical, how professional your capital markets operators run the capital markets. And you can see, starting from the regulatory side, you see that our regulators are top notch when it comes to regulating the market. Then the operators are also professionals. So let me take a very practical example. A foreign investor wants to come to Nigeria. It comes through maybe the NGX group, and he sees, oh, you have various boards. Okay, oh, there's a premium board. And the premium board is the elite board for big companies that are doing millions of dollars or nairas of operation. And at the same time, more importantly, is the corporate governance rating. Corporate governance rating. Because what is the essence if you have all the technology, everything, and your corporate governance is not best standard? Then foreign investors will not want to come. Now, with that kind of stringent measures placed on companies that are listed on the premium board, any investor looking at that will say, no, this is the country I want to come. This is the board I want to be listed. And of course, that will now go down to other boards. Again, we are saying that will also reflect the macroeconomic conditions in the place. Yes, the government too, because the capital market does not operate in isolation. The government too has their own role to play to make the business environment friendly to attract these investors. But when they have come to the country now and they want to see the different sectors and all that, then they will see that, yes, Nigeria is the place to be when it comes to investment in the capital market. I've not said there are no challenges. There are challenges here and there, but at the same time, because for any business person, you want to know that I've invested here. Even if you're a portfolio investor, you just have a portfolio. You don't have there's no foreign direct investment. Now you have invested. The company you have invested, they have declared dividends. You can see the seamless process you will go through to repatriate your funds in terms of your dividend. Because when you were coming in, you declared your investments through the CBN, your financial advisor, and they all know that these monies came for this investment in this particular company. And after that company have said, this is what we are paying, you repatriating your dividend or your profit back becomes easy. So those are processes that investors will look at before even coming to the Nigerian market. That is for portfolio investors. They are not coming to build any factory in the country. They are not just bringing their funds. Now, for the FDIs, of course, you can see that we already have some IOCs in the country today, the likes of Nestle Nigeria. They also have their foreign counterpart, Cadbury, and all that. Now, their operations here will tell that, in fact, the market is here in Nigeria. So, once they see that it's a profitable market, then of course, they're ready to bring their machineries, bring their men to come in and have the foreign direct investment. I mean, we've seen in the brewery industry, we have seen Nigerian breweries, though right now they're also sourcing for funds through their existing shareholder. So you can see that the environment has to be attractive, ease of doing business, all our business laws and all that must be reviewed to make things easy for this foreign investor. And I tell you, the foreign investor, of course, we might have one or two political issues here and there, but I tell you, the ease of business resolution, because once you have conflict in business and the investors knows that they have laid down procedures how these issues can be resolved. I mean, you cannot rule out the issue of disputes when it comes to business. From time to time, we have disagreement for certain business. But once those investors know that there are mechanisms as to how this can be resolved as quickly as possible. And that's one thing we are happy with the capital market. The capital market has its own specialized way of resolving capital market issues. You don't need to go to regular courts that will take so many years. But with the capital market, looking at SEC, their APC, that's the Administrative Procedure Committee, then moving straight to the court, that is the Investment and Securities Tribunal, you can see that these issues can be resolved within 90 days. So, and that is what every business person wants. You want the dispute resolved as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Charles. Now, you've said a whole lot about protecting the investors' rights, increasing investors' confidence in our capital markets, and coupled, this is in partnership with the recommendations set by IOSCO and also the regulatory bodies like SEC. Now, what strategies can increase financial literacy among retail investors in Nigeria?
Yes, in fact, that's a project I'm also very, very interested in, and it's ongoing. Yes, financial literacy is key. Financial inclusion is key. How will my grandmother in the village, she can operate a phone, she can receive call, she can make call. Then financial literacy, financial inclusion should ensure that she's able to also transfer, using the USSD from her phone, as old as she is. For me, that is financial inclusion. But all our digital infrastructure will need to be improved so that the issue of failed network, you transfer, the money is coming back and all that, But I had followed DMO for quite some time, and we moved from state capital to state capital, all in the bid of talking about federal government savings bond and how the locals can get involved in this investment. So financial literacy is ongoing, and as I speak to you, we keep doing financial literacy. We don't even just stay at the state capitals, we move into the villages. In fact, when it comes to education, we go down to the primary school, secondary school, and of course, tertiary institution to begin to let them know and understand that for you to improve your finances, financial literacy is key. People in the rural area need to understand budgeting. They need to understand financial empowerment. They need to understand some of these basic things when it comes to their own finances. How to make use of their resources, because they're already businessmen. They go to farm. How to get good pricing for their agricultural product. How to even process it. Okay, so for financial literacy is key. And like I said, SEC in one of their responsibilities to develop the market and also create awareness. So in collaboration, SEC and the other operators, we're all collaborating to ensure that we take financial literacy to the doorstep of the average Nigerian.
Okay, that's very important and very key. Yes, well said, Mr. Charles. Now, I'm looking at it from everything you have said. Yes, we know these things are very important to keep in. Now, how can Nigeria, we know all of this. Some people might argue that, we know how the country is faring economically, but how can this World Investor Week, IOSCO's World Investor Week, create more economic development in Nigeria?
Yes, part of the things that were discussed, or they're still discussing, because the week is going to end on the 13th of this October. Now, of course, on Friday, I'm also inviting people from the media to come and share with us at the closing gong ceremony at the NGX group there, all to mark this World Investors Week. Now, what's your question again?
Now, I said, how can this promote economic development in
Okay,
Nigeria?
good. Yes, you can see that even the theme of this year's discussion is we're talking of sustainable finance. And we need to understand what is sustainable finance. That's going to impact not only on our finances, but on our environment. Because what's the use of where you are able to accumulate so much wealth and we cannot live on this planet? So that kind of awareness. And that's why I say I really love the theme of this year's World Investors Week celebration. Sustainable finance. At the same time, fraud and scam prevention. Because there are a lot of scam all over the place. Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes, a lot of funds that are not registered with the regulators. So with all these discussions we are doing now, investors are aware of how to recognize fraudulent investment schemes. And if they are not too sure, then there is nothing wrong to come to the regulators and make a report, because the regulators cannot be everywhere at the same time. You see somebody who comes up and say, okay, I just opened this fund and you bring 200,000, in the next 1 week I give you 400,000. And you actually see it, and people will even publish and say, look at my credit alert, look at it. It's convincing. With the discussion for this week so far, talking about scams and fraud prevention, investors will be aware that when it is too good, then be wary of it. There is no guarantee investment anywhere. Of course, only when you are doing fixed income. Say your coupon rate is 20%, you see it there. That's all. But when it comes to capital markets, equity, there is no guaranteed return. So all this is creating awareness for the average investor to know and how to spot the red flags when it comes to fraudulent investment schemes. And for me, that is also financial empowerment, because they are able to know that, no, this scheme is fraudulent, and they can also make reports when it comes to those. And I also encourage shareholders advocacy. Shareholders should continue to protect themselves. They should continue to speak. And once they see what their companies are doing and they're not too happy with it, then of course, they have all the rights to make all the necessary report. And if there are very obvious cases, of course, EFCC and ICPC are there to prosecute any fraudulent transactions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles Fakrogha, for joining us this morning on Market Insights as we talked about the IOSCO's celebration of World Investor Week and how to keep protecting investors and protecting their rights in capital markets, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Many thanks for sharing your insights into this issue. And we look forward to having you again on SOUQ News Television Studios.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, now let's look at our money markets this morning, the dollars, pound sterling, and euro, and how the naira is faring when selling this morning. So currently we're looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria rates and the parallel markets rate. So for today, Wednesday, 9th October, the dollar at the CBN rate is currently selling at 1,647 naira to $1. At the parallel market, it's selling at 1,680 naira to $1. For the pound sterling, it's currently selling at the CBN rate for 2,192 naira to £1 sterling. At the parallel market, it's selling at 2,270 naira to £1 sterling. And the parallel market rates are higher than the CBN rates. Now, for the euro, it's selling at 1,842 naira to €1. At the parallel market, it is selling at 1,870 naira to €1. So those are our CBN rates and parallel market rates this morning. Thank you so much for watching the program Market Insights. Do share your comments on all our social media platforms. We look forward to hearing from you and to keep discussing more things to improve our economy and improve the general well-being of Nigerians. Do enjoy your day and stay tuned to the next program, which is our news update on SOUQ News Television. I am your host, Lovina Emma.